Hi, this is Jolynn from Wild Pony Eventing again, and we're here with Mary from all the Kings Horses Equine Rescue in Connecticut. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Can you tell us a little bit about your horse background and how you got into Mustangs and came to open a rescue?
Sure. My background's probably it's not a whole lot, to be honest with you. I grew up with a small family farm, so horses to me were like dogs and cats to everybody else. So we
Yeah.
just had a two-stall barn, and how I was around horses is like people would be with their pets. Like they were just a pet to me. I wasn't looking to ride. I would just walk around with them, hang out with them, talk to them, groom them, brush them. I was never interested in riding. And that's, to be honest, how I am to this day. And the first time I really did ride was not until I was 28 years old. And
Wow.
yeah, when I was young and at home, I would do little pony rides here and there, or I'd ride with my dad on his, in front of him while he was holding me, or my grandfather. It just wasn't something I was interested in. It's just the way I was. I loved all animals equally. And of course, there was a little more. I used to pretend I was a horse. I used to, put my food on the floor and eat it like I was eating grass or grain. But I just always loved them in that manner. But it wasn't a sport to me. It was strictly companionship. Um, Now at Mustangs, I mean, I was always interested. My grandfather was a big Western guy. I used to go over and watch Westerns with him, always pick the movie that had the most horses in it. I just was really interested in their historical value. And then, as I got older and we found social media, I saw a lot about the roundups and not really understanding it. I didn't want to take from other people. Like I wanted to learn from myself. So it wasn't until 2018 is when I really started going out west by myself to learn. And that was because I adopted my first Mustang, who was already gentled. I got him from a rescue, and he was from Crooks Mountain, Wyoming. So I decided my first roundup was going to be the Red Desert roundup that was in 2018, to go and see where my horse was from. And that's kind of where everything evolved. And I can get into more of that whenever you want. But that was kind of my interest in Mustangs and wanting to help them, is when I went out myself and kind of saw what was going on.
Now, did you adopt that Mustang as a pet or were you riding at that point?
Nope, I never rode.
Okay.
So everything, my love is just watching them eat, watching them be healthy. Sure, I've
Yeah.
ridden a handful of times, but I really don't
Yeah.
care. My my pure love is, especially with the rescue, is rehabbing and getting them back to health, and that's really what I enjoy. But prior to him, my first horse I did adopt, I rode a little bit more. That was a Morgan, who I'm actually blessed to still have, my first horse. But I had adopted her from a Connecticut rescue, and that's kind of what
Wow.
opened my eyes to rescue and seeing the need for rescue, and me saying, hey, I have that two-stall barn still at my parents' house that's empty. I want to help some horses. And that's, it evolved from there. And but yeah, the first horse I did save under our organization went to that two-stall barn at my parents' house. So
Wow.
um yeah, so that was 2010 is when I founded all the King's Horses. And it, at that point in time, it was an all breed rescue, which we still are all breed, but we're kind of focusing more on Mustangs. And
Mhm.
right now we have 25 rescues, which is, it is small, but I do work full time. So this is not my livelihood by any chance. It's, this is my hobby. This is my love. So we have 25 horses, 12 are Mustangs. And we focus primarily on horses that are coming from animal control situations of abuse or neglect. Because I work for the Connecticut Department of Agriculture.
Right.
So I work in an animal control unit. And so I kind of do get firsthand knowledge of some of the cases that are going on and who needs help. So we get a lot of horses from animal control. We get owner surrenders we'll take from people who are having health issues, and some financial troubles. And then we take Mustangs directly out of holding facilities. We'll take those who need some extra TLC, those that are overlooked for whatever reason, disfigurements, hoof issues, quote unquote, too wild. We've had, some of those that, they just couldn't be gentled kind of horses.
Right.
So that's kind of our focus.
So you're choosing horses that basically wouldn't readily be adoptable by other people.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot with the Devil's Garden horses because they've been being rounded up since 2018. They've been rounded up every single year since then.
Right.
And we've established a wonderful working relationship with the U.S. Forest Services. And I'll, chat with the corral manager who is amazing and be like, okay, who needs a little extra help? Do you have anybody? And she's like, oh yeah, we have a bunch. And, for example, the one we just took this past year had a disfigured mouth from a trauma she sustained on the range. They're not quite sure what, but every vet that has seen her has, said 100% it is a trauma. And, it makes her not look beautiful. I mean, she's beautiful to me, but it's not, she wasn't an ideal candidate for someone to adopt, and they were kind of worried about her and where she'd end up. So they thankfully they asked us if we could help, which
what other kind of health issues do you take on?
We actually, we worked with the Rock Springs Corral, and we had a nice relationship with them as well. And we took a colt that had some underrun hooves, so he needed some extra care with his hooves, and he's doing great. He had since been adopted. He's with a wonderful young lady in New Hampshire, but we're grateful for that relationship as well, because Rock Springs, they have a policy where you're not allowed to hire a hauler and have them come in and haul out. Like you have to, you have to adopt that day and take your horse with you. They've had a lot of trouble with haulers not showing or stuff on that line, and luckily they allowed that for us. I had the help of Christy Chapman, who from YWIP, and that organization, which I'm also a part of. We were able to have a great working relationship, and they allowed us to hire a hauler and get picked up and brought to us in Connecticut without me having to be there.
Right. That really reduces the ability for people to adopt if they can't get a hauler.
It does. So it is hard. There's restrictions at a lot of the holding facilities, which, it's a work in progress, and we'd really like to help create that change. And that's why I was really happy with them allowing us to do that. But it all comes to having a good working relationship, which, we're doing, and I'm really grateful for that.
Right. Any other HMAs that you've got a relationship with?
Well, we've got horses from all HMAs, but in regards to holding facilities, sure, yes, we've been out. I've been out to Delta in Utah, Delta Holding, and they allowed me to come. They had a Cedar Mountain wild horses. They had the severe drought and emergency gather, and they allowed me to come in when it wasn't open to take pictures, because I was going to adopt one, but they allowed me to take pictures and share them all for anybody else who was interested, because we had a haul coming back east. So those pictures helped a lot of people pick out horses that they wanted to adopt. Wow. So and we're working together, myself, our organization with YWIP, on establishing good relationships with everybody, because I think that's huge. And another thing which I'm happy about through the Devil's Garden horses is that during a compliance check for an adopter who adopted a couple horses here in Connecticut, they did their compliance check on Zoom like this, and they saw the condition of those horses, and they failed them and called me up and was like, will you take these 2 horses? And I was like, absolutely. So I think, we're really happy to be able to assist horses like that.
Yeah. What are you also getting Mustangs from sale barns?
We have, but that's not really something I like to promote. I'm not a big fan of sales barns are kind of tricky. A lot of them are showcasing horses that are not necessarily going to slaughter. They're kind of prying on bleeding hearts to get a lot of money. A horse that you could adopt for $25, they have on there for $825. So, and unfortunately, it's not the horse's fault. They're still caught up in some bad hands there. So it's not our number one go-to, but we have helped. And for example, we did take, and again, I'll only take ones that are not desirable. So we did take a Mustang from Sal Steens, who had a traumatic injury to his eye. That was from a blunt force. So he is blind in that one eye. So we do have him, and nobody was looking to get him. Thankfully, with the Mustangs, they do have a pretty good following. So we're seeing a lot of, when they are in sales barns, they do have a lot of public outcry, and a lot of people do help them. But we will, but it's not our primary focus.
Okay. What is your rehab and adoption process? I mean, what are your goals, and who are you looking for in terms of adoption?
So we do have an application, and we do have a contract. So our contract does provide safety, for life. We did have an instance where somebody did not abide the contract and did sell one of our horses, and we did hire an attorney, and we did get that horse back. So we do provide safety for the rest of their lives. And so in our adoption application, we do require professional references as well as personal references. So we do look into vets and farriers and anyone else that has a professional working relationship. And we do make contact with all those people. We will do a home check if necessary. A lot of times I already know the vet, it's a small state. But we do adopt out within a 4-hour radius of Connecticut. And I do that just so we can assist that horse if they ever need it. We can take that horse back if it ever needs to come back. If they get further, it makes things a little tricky, but and there is always an exception. We did have a blind horse that we sent out to a blind horse sanctuary in North Carolina. So there are some exceptions, but for personal homes, we do a 4-hour radius. And then our contract says you're not allowed to sell, you're not allowed to breed. They are to come back to us for any other, for whatever reason. And we do get horses that come back, and we are here for them for their safety for the rest of their life.
Yeah. What about horses that aren't gentled yet?
So we adopt out once they're fully gentled. So we do the gentling here. For the most part, I'll do a lot of the gentling, but I am not a trainer. I don't consider myself a trainer. I have the ability to gentle them, but if I can't, if it's too much for me, I do have a couple trainers that we work with and that will pay to do it. And we have one horse with a trainer at this moment, but we can't have several at a time because, of course, finances is always an issue. So if I can't do it, I'll send to a trainer if we have the money at the moment.
Okay. So if someone is looking to adopt a Mustang,
Mhm.
can they assume that it's completely gentled, and do you define those parameters?
Yes, they're basically at tip standards and probably better. So they will be able to be easily caught, haltered. For the most part, they'll be, you can cross tie, you groom, pick feet. They'll be fully up to date with vaccines, dental,
Cool.
farrier care. They'll load better than our domestic horses on trailers. And we did allow, which, there's always room for error. At one time, I did allow a horse, a wild horse, to get adopted and go directly to a trainer. And I don't necessarily, I might do that, something like that again, but I wasn't happy with the outcome of this one. And what happened was, once it was gentled, it wasn't what they wanted. So,
Mm,
personalities and things do change. And that's
yeah,
something to think about. So, you know, nothing bad happened. That horse just came right back to us. But I think from now on, I'm happier if they're fully gentled with us and
right,
then, go on their way.
right. Okay. How long do horses typically stay with you?
It depends. So, like I said, we do take the ones that might have, that have issues, or some
Mhm.
are lifetime issues, some are temporary that we can, um, help. But for the most part, I'm going to say a year. But we do have, it's kind of funny, the very first horse we saved in 2010, he's with us right now. So he actually was adopted, and he did end up coming back, and he's never going anywhere. So he's
So
been
he's
with
now
us for
your
a
horse?
while. What's that?
He's now your horse?
Pretty much. So yeah, he's got some issues, and if anything, I'd be looking for a thoroughbred sanctuary for him. But he's not the easiest horse, and at this point in time in his life, he can't be ridden anymore. He has a heart murmur, and he's an older guy, and so he's not the type that is a good companion. He can be really difficult with other horses. He's
Uh,
not the type who wants to snuggle, so he doesn't have many, really good qualities to get adopted
right.
right this at this
Doesn't
moment.
have that commercial appeal.
No, no.
Okay. So
So
tell us about some of the horses you currently have that are looking for homes.
okay. I have my little list so I don't forget anybody.
Okay.
But yeah, so we have Pippa, who is from the 2019 Devil's Garden roundup. She is absolutely beautiful, and she's probably around 14 too. She's 11 years old, fully gentled, and is absolutely great with all horses. So she wears a blanket. She's already been on a trailer a few times, goes out with other horses, good for the vet. Not awesome for the farrier, but we get it done.
Yeah.
And has had her teeth done, all her vaccines. And so Pippa's ready to go. We have Sierra, who's also from 2019 Devil's Garden. She's 13 3 hands, a little girl. She is also great with all other horses. Maggie, who's from the 2018 gather, she's about 16, who is for a beginner. She's not under saddle, but she's a beginner Mustang owner. You can have a kid lead her. She's really great. We
Did,
have
why did you pick these particular Mustangs you're talking about? Did they have health issues?
well, actually, Pippa. So the corral manager from Devil's Garden, she actually called us up and said, this is the last mare from the 2019 gather nobody wanted. They were already into the 2020 gather, taking those horses, and they had the last mare. And she was like, will you take her? I was like, absolutely. I mean, she's absolutely beautiful. There's nothing wrong with her, but she was just completely overlooked. And kind of like the black dogs in the dog rescue world, the bay horses in the Mustang world are kind of overlooked. So it's a bay mare, and just nobody wanted to adopt her. Sierra was a leftover as well. And a lot of the times I'll take the leftovers, also because they're not pregnant. You know, if you're taking, we're in 2022, the 2022 gather horses right now are going to be available in March, and pretty much all those
Likely.
yeah, they're all likely to be pregnant. So I'll wait until everybody, you know, adopts who they want. By that time, all the mares are foaling. And so by the time we go in to adopt, they've already had their babies.
Mhm.
So they're, you know, they're overlooked and nobody's adopting them.
Right.
You know, Pippa, I believe Pippa had a baby, Sierra had her baby, they were adopted and moms are left. Maggie was actually, I became aware of her through my work at the Department of Agriculture. So she was an owner surrender from Connecticut.
Okay.
Kat is our next one I'm talking about, and Kat has the disfigured face. And unlike waiting for a leftover, Kat was rounded up in 2021 and I took her right away. So she ended up having her baby with us. And her baby is Sebastian. So Sebastian's available for adoption, where he's 6 months old now. But Kat, mom, who has this disfigured face, I think she's going to be a lifetime resident for us. And in the last year, we've partnered with an organization called Soul Friends, and we our horses are utilized in equine assisted psychotherapy. So Kat has,
nice.
yeah, so Kat has already done a few therapy sessions with clients, and I think she has a lot to teach us, you know, especially for people with any sort of disabilities. And I mean, this horse hasn't even been out of the wild or hasn't been gentled for, you know, she was wild less than a year ago, and she's already doing therapy, and I'm really proud of her.
Yeah.
So
you have a picture of her, right?
I do. Yes. Let me see if I can share that. Here. Did that come up?
Yeah, there she is with
Yeah.
Sebastian. Okay.
So,
and any ideas on what happened to her face?
no, nobody knows for sure. I mean, it could have been a kick. Yeah, I mean, no one really could speculate. They're not quite sure, but they all deemed that it was a trauma. It's not, you know, she was not born with that.
Yeah.
But so when she came to us in March of this year, and she had her baby in May, and I worked really hard on gentling her, knowing she was pregnant and if there were any problems that did happen. And she actually did have problems with her pregnancy.
Really?
And yeah, she was born with neonatal maladjustment syndrome. I don't know if you ever heard, they call it dummy foal.
Yes, I have.
So he had that where at some point of time, whether it was during her pregnancy, during delivery, or after, he lost oxygen at some point in time. So he was basically neurologic, and he didn't know who she was. He didn't know how to nurse. And you could see here and above his eyes, he was banging into walls because he didn't know what to do. So we loaded them both up. This horse, who was, you know, wild 3 months ago, got her on the trailer, and we took her to Rhinebeck Equine in New York, a hospital, and they saved his life. So yeah.
How is he doing now?
He's phenomenal. He's huge. He's already taller than mom.
Wow. Yeah.
Do
they know when her injury happened? Do they have any idea?
No, but it was old, you know, upon roundup, you know, in 2021, it was definitely old. So no
relation between the injury and his neonatal impact, or?
No, I mean, I don't know exactly. I mean, she was pretty skinny when she came in, and that probably definitely had something to do with her feed intake. She does a good job. She does definitely do a good job with hay and grass, but she needs a little more. So that grain has really helped her, and we just got to have that soaked so it doesn't fall out of her mouth. but other than that, she does a really good job.
Yeah, she's a
And
really cute pony.
she is. She's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm really proud of her. But I mean, I have some other pictures of some of the Mustangs that if you'd like to see those now,
Yes.
or this is Loki, the one I was telling you about, who did come from the sales barn, who his left eye is a trauma from some sort of blow, and here's his eye. Here's his eye up close.
Wow.
So that's some sort of trauma that happened to him, and because of that trauma, he is a little skittish. You know, he's not sure of everybody, but
is he a Mustang?
He is. He's from South Steens, Oregon.
South Steens, Utah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So he does. Did I get both pictures up at once?
You did.
Wow.
I'm impressed by that.
Me too. I don't know how I did that. So, yeah, so he's available for adoption right now. He is a good boy. Let me see if I could show you some of our other ones. Some of our other. Here's actually Bob. Here's an example of, you know, we took Bob from the 2018 roundup.
Did you name it Bob?
Yeah, Bob. And if you could see his face, he had a skin fungus all over his face. So he, you know, nobody wanted him because of that. So these are the horses we save and what we like to save. And some of our Mustangs where, you know, I want to really promote Mustangs and how wonderful they are. We have this one right here is Erin. And if you see, she's in Manhattan.
She is. Wow.
Yeah, this is she's actually on Randall's Island, and that's Harlem behind her. And on Randall's Island, they have the New York City Riding Academy. So in the summer, she goes on to Randall's Island and she teaches kids from Harlem about horsemanship. And then in the fall, she goes back upstate to where she lives and just hangs out. So that's Erin. And we actually have Lady who spent some time on Randall's Island too. Where is Lady? Right here. This is Lady. She's from Little Owie, Nevada.
Okay.
Lady failed Randall's Island, so she's really amazing, but she needs someone really experienced. So she did great, but she needs someone more experienced, and she is a great. You can ride her. She's a really good companion. She loves other horses. She's about 25 now, but she needs someone really experienced, and she's a big drafty build.
Yeah, it looks that way.
Yeah, it's not the best photo, but I just wanted to show her brand in Manhattan because I'm really proud of them. And,
is she currently looking for a home?
She is.
Okay.
Yep. And this is actually Kia. You can kind of see it before and after. She's even bigger now, but Kia is from Devil's Garden. She's a 5-year-old buckskin. Now Kia came to us as the compliance fail. So the Forest Services saw her condition and they asked us if she can come to us because her adopter was here in Connecticut. So she was all the way in Connecticut.
The photo on the top, someone went into a compliance check with an animal that looked like that?
Yes. Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So what I'm trying to do now, like I'm so impressed with the staff in the Alturas office through the U.S. Forest Services. They're just amazing. And I'm trying to get other rescues and sanctuaries to say that they want to be a part of this. And what I'm trying to do is have a list of resources for the BLM or the U.S. Forest Services to say, hey, if you have a compliance check failure in this state or that state, you know, these are the organizations that are willing to help. Right. Because I know a lot of people claim that the BLM or Forest Services aren't doing their checks or whatnot. And I just know that if you don't have resources, it's really hard to get things done. So if resources are available, why not get your checks done and be like, oh my God, you failed, but there's this rescue in Connecticut willing to help. So I'm going to give them a call. Right. And so I'm really happy. So this was a failed compliance check, and she's available for adoption. So this is Kia. We have her. She's not fully gentled yet, but she's getting there. Beautiful, only 5 years old. We never get them this young, but because of the way she came into us, that's why we have a young horse. But beautiful buckskin, big girl. She's close to 15 hands. And I will show you our other compliance check failure. Tarzan.
Tarzan.
So this is his when he failed the compliance check, and this is him now.
Oh, what a hunky boy.
He's a hunk for sure, but he's
Wow.
still wild. But he's going to be available for adoption, but he's still
Wow.
wild at this moment.
And where is he from?
He's also from Devil's Garden.
Okay. And
Yep.
he looks tall.
I think it's the picture.
Okay.
He's probably at least 14.2, maybe 14.1. But no, he's probably 14.2.
Yeah. Is he also young?
Yes, he's about 9. He's about 9 years old.
Handsome boy.
Yeah, so these are the horses we take. I have another before and after one. This horse actually was a body score of a 1.5. Her name's Callie, and she is with us. She was from animal control, an animal control situation. She's very old, in her 30s. We can't read her her racing brand, but this is her now. And yeah, she's wonderful, and she's available for adoption, Miss Callie.
Yeah.
I didn't bring pictures of everybody. I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of the horses we take and why we do take them, but it's definitely the ones who need us most. I will have people reach out and say, my daughter's no longer interested in riding. I want to find a home for this, her horse as soon as possible. We're paying for board and she's not interested. And that's not something we're interested in. We'll help educate that family, and we'll give them resources of what to do. I'll say, I'd be willing to network your horse, give me pictures, but I think a spot at a rescue is really valuable, and it needs, I want to give it to someone who needs it the most.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. So how many of the horses that you've got available for adoption are riding versus not riding?
Let me see. We don't have many riding horses, to be honest with you, but they're healthy and they just need to be trained. So a lot of, pretty much out of the 12 Mustangs, only 2 Mustangs ride. And the others,
most of them potentially could be ridden.
Yes, exactly. Okay. They're healthy, they're sound. They just need to be trained for riding. Okay. Of the domesticated breed, horses, we have a really nice, a 15-year-old thoroughbred, a really nice riding horse who needs a home. His name is Kona. We have a beautiful little Hackney pony who rides, Bugsy.
Bugsy, I like that.
Yeah. Most of the domestic horses are non-riding, and it's due to health, due to age. We have a lot of old horses.
Okay. So it sounds like the Mustangs are more leftovers that didn't get adopted, or surrenders, or failures.
Correct.
Compliance. Okay.
Yeah, we did go to when we have satellite adoption events through the BLM that are close to us, we will go. And the last one that was in Swansea, New Hampshire, we went, and the last horse, I stood at the very end and I said, whoever's left, I'll take. And the last horse was it was an internet adoption, a beautiful buckskin. And everybody said, I'm passing on this horse because he's too wild. And he was pretty crazy there. And when they did the demo training with him, he tried to run right through the trainer, and so we took him, and he's been since adopted. I just went to we had a satellite adoption right here in Connecticut. And unfortunately, there were a ton that were not adopted at this time around. There was probably at least 15 left. So it wasn't like I could take, the one who needed it most or whatnot. But what I did see was a horse that truly wanted to be domesticated. And for her to not have that chance was killing me. So I took her. And we never take easy horses. It was just, why would you let this horse go when she's already wants to be touched, cuddled, she's just great. And she already has a wonderful home. So
okay. Do you have any stories to share about horses that have been adopted out and know how they're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we keep in touch with everybody, so we know where everybody is. That one picture of that Mustang that was in Harlem with the child hugging her. So she's adopted by the founder of the New York City Riding Academy. So that's what she does. She goes to Harlem in the summer, and she's back upstate New York. We have another Mustang, Nevada, who is adopted by the founder of Healing Hoofbeats, which is in Connecticut, and he's doing psychotherapy.
Cool.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of great stories like that. We had another Connecticut Mustang doing therapy, and one of our Mustangs from Arizona, she's one of the main therapy horses with our partnership program with Soul Friends. So people are doing therapy with her. And
tell us a little bit about Soul Friends.
Yeah, it's an animal assisted therapy program. So they have their therapist, and then they have a horse expert, so a team of 2 people who do therapy with a client, and it's funded by insurance or it's grant funded. So I've gotten some grants, they've gotten grants, and they actually a really special program they're doing right now. They got a grant to it's the first in its kind to work with veterans and their family. So the therapy is not just with the veteran, it's with their entire family to do equine assisted psychotherapy. So it's a great organization, and I'm so proud to have our horses helping to heal, which is great, because it goes both ways, because it's helping our horses as well.
Yeah. Is that program EGALA trained?
You know what, they don't, a lot of is basically EGALA, but they're out of the box using different none of it is riding, but they use a bunch of different models. But yes, a lot of it is EGALA.
Okay, cool. That's very cool.
Yeah.
Tell us about some of the challenges of running a rescue. I know there's many.
Oh yes. The biggest is probably finances, and that's why I do work full time, and most of my money goes to the organization. I always say I'm the biggest donor along with my mother. So finances is definitely really hard, and it's hard to plan accordingly, because you can really never have a sound budget, because horses, things happen. They get sick, they get hurt, things just come up. Or I might think I'm all set, and I get a call from a doctor saying, it's not working out, I'd like to send the horse back. So it's like, oh no, I thought I had room and now I don't, and I already committed to another horse. So there's a lot of things that could just come about that are unexpected. But yeah, the leading bill is our hay bill and vet bill. And, even with Kat and her baby, we didn't know they were going to have to be hospitalized. And so things come up that you just cannot plan for. We consistently have to fundraise. So we're always like at least once a month trying to have a fundraiser, whether it's big or small. We just did a big online auction for the holidays where we had, businesses donate things and we auctioned them off online. Right now we're doing a gingerbread contest. So we do all sorts of things, but it's tough. It's,
Yeah.
you know, it's some bring in some money and some don't. And you put a lot of time, a lot of effort into it. Volunteers are tough. It's, you know, with our organization, our volunteers are great, but it would be helpful if we had some people with more horse experience. It's wonderful getting volunteers who want to be a part of it, and I'm honored for anybody, but I find a lot of people with horse experience might have their own horses and their own work to do. So it's kind of tough where when you do have a bunch of horses that are tough, I don't really have a lot of people that can help. I have to do it a lot on my own. So people with experience, fundraising, budgeting, those are a lot of the tough things.
Okay. Who are most of your donors? Are they just private people or?
It's, yeah, I mean, a lot of our adopters, you know, support us and are, you know, really loyal and continue to support us with donations. Most of our donors are through fundraising. I can't say we don't have many monthly donors, and that would be something that's really helpful. We have a few here and there, but not many people are like signed on monthly. So yeah, I mean, most are definitely private. We don't have corporations or anything like that. We are lucky, you know, a couple of our donors do get matching funds from where they work.
Ah, nice. Okay.
Yeah, which I guess a lot of people could look into their jobs. A lot of businesses have that and people don't even know about it. So, but yes, mostly all private.
Okay. So you're a 501c then?
Yep, we're a 501c3. We do get some grants, but a lot of the things with grants as well is they have to be for a specific purpose. Like I can't just get a grant and buy hay with it. You know, a lot of them, you know, I just got a grant to help with the cost of therapy, which isn't covered by insurance. You know, I got a grant to buy a couple run-in sheds at one time. So it has to be a specific purpose. It can't just be for me to use however I need.
Okay. And where do you get the grants from?
We've been a recipient through the Community Foundation of Greater New Haven a few times. So a lot of them are community foundations of Branford, which is a town next to us, has given us a grant. So there, you know, community foundations across like the state of Connecticut have been really helpful.
Okay. Are you near New Haven in Connecticut?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Right there. We are considered Greater New Haven. So coming up, actually, they have the Big Give, which is for charities in Greater New Haven. So that's something. But yeah, the Community Foundation of Greater New Haven is what helps us a lot.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about your goals and future plans.
Okay. Goal is definitely sanctuary. And reason being is because I'm constantly worrying about my horses. You know, I think, you know, we have great adopters. They're wonderful. And I wouldn't let a horse go to somebody that I was concerned about, but I'm still always worried. And so I would love to just have, you know, I want to take all the horses like Cat with that disfigurement and have them live, you know, on a lovely, you know, pasture for the rest of their life. So I have been consistently looking for land, whether it is to purchase or to lease. I am part of YWIP, and even if I was to get something in Wyoming and to help the horses that are part of our project, we are working with fertility control through the BLM office in Rawlins. So horses that might get rounded up and overlooked from that HMA that we work with, and you know, horses with disabilities or whatnot. But that's the ultimate goal, and is to have a sanctuary component.
Okay. So you're not necessarily looking in Connecticut. You're open to possibly
I'm open to Connecticut or Wyoming, pretty much.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
But
I
you know,
would,
the cost of land, actually in both states, if you're getting land that is good for horses in Wyoming, it's expensive,
yeah,
and Connecticut's expensive. So
okay,
um, yeah, so that's why I'm open to leases and
right.
that.
So sanctuary property is a goal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else?
Um, goal wise, I just want to improve, you know, relationships, like to get more things done. And I am really proud of, you know, through all the King's Horses in Wyoming Wild Horse Improvement Partnership. I think that is huge, is to continuing strengthening relationships with the BLM and the United States Forest Services, because if, you know, those are the agencies that are taking care of our wild horses. So if you
Yeah.
don't have a good relationship with them, how are you going to help the horses? So
Right.
continuing to work on that and to come up with, you know, ideas, kind of like how I want to do that list of resources for them, and just improving things across the board
Mhm.
for our wild horses.
Okay. How big is the facility you're currently running?
We have about over 20 acres here. So, but on top of having our horses here, we also have horses in foster homes. So we do have, you know, a foster home network. Where we have about we have about 6 horses in foster care right now, and a horse in training. So not everybody is here on site, but we're about 20 acres here.
Okay. How do people, so we talked a little bit in the beginning about how people can adopt, but how do people become fosters with your
Um,
organization?
it's a lot of it is word of mouth. I have fosters only in the state of Connecticut, obviously, because we own the horses. If something goes wrong, you know, I want to use our vet or be nearby and promote their adoption still, meet people there. But it's the same thing. It's an application, but for the most part, I know almost, I have known prior all the foster homes that have come to us. So a lot of it is word of mouth. Sometimes unexpectedly a horse passes away, and their other horse is really lonely, and they want to, you know, they're not ready to buy another horse, but they want to do a good thing. And for the most part, we foster the less than ideal, if you can think of we have a lot of not ideal horses, but the less than ideal, so we don't have constantly disruptions of people wanting to meet the horse or possibly adopt the horse. So a
Right.
lot of our foster homes are taking the horses that don't really have a good chance of being adopted.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
I do have a foster right now, God bless her. She has one of our horses who has a tumor in her colon, and we are she's not in any pain, and she just requires a great deal of mineral oil so she can pass manure easily.
Mhm.
And she has a hematoma in her nostril, so she gets nosebleeds. So
Oh,
it's not a horse that I would adopt out with all these medical issues. And she's in her 30s now, so she's kind of doing a hospice foster, which is really nice because the horse
yeah,
gets to be in a home environment on a beautiful pasture, and there's nothing better than that.
yeah. Okay. So people are watching this and interested and want to help. How do they do that? How do they find you and how do they help?
Okay, we're on social media. We're both on Facebook, Instagram. Those are the 2 that I do the most on. I think we have a Twitter account, but I don't do anything on it, so I don't
Okay.
even know. But I do the Facebook and the Instagram. We also have uh, what's the site? TikTok for
Okay.
videos. So we're on
Okay.
TikTok. Our website is www.allthekingshorsesequinerescue.com.
And we'll put
And
all these links in the show notes so people
okay,
don't
thank
have to try
you.
to scribble it down.
Yeah, I mean, it's so long. I wasn't thinking when I
Yeah.
made the website, but yeah, through social media, and our website is the best way to be in
Okay.
contact with us.
Okay. Side note, can you tell us a little bit about your name
Oh,
and how all the King's horses came to you as your name?
Well, I'm a very grateful person. I'm very happy. I love my life. I love everything in it. And in wanting to help horses, I kind of had it's basically King being, a higher power, and these horses are the King's horses. So I also had it's a little biblical and it's a little storybook all together. So,
Mhm.
you're the from Humpty Dumpty and
Yeah.
then so it all rolled into one, these horses, all of them, all not just the healthy, the ones that could ride. They all belong to a higher power, and we're here to help them.
Yeah. Okay. So if anybody wants to volunteer or donate, they
Mhm.
can find you on social media or they can go to your website.
Yes.
So I know you need donations, but is there any other specific help that you're looking for from people?
I would love help with fundraising. So anybody who is good with fundraising, if they have good ideas, suggestions, people who could write grants, always need help with that,
Yeah.
or people who could find grants. I mean, sometimes they're hard to find. Um, so yeah, I mean, those are the two biggest things. I would love help with grants, and I'd love help with fundraising.
Mhm.
So if you don't want to pick up a rake and pick up poop, you can, help in that kind of manner. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not just hands-on with the horses. We need all sorts of help.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks so much for your time,
Yes,
and
thank you.
your rescue sounds fabulous. And I hope that you find homes for all of those horses.
Great. Thank you so much. It was so nice to speak with you.
Yeah.